with defense attorney Michael Working, a criminal defense attorney who has been the leader of the entire state of Tennessee's criminal defense attorneys in the past. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, sorry to be here, but happy to help.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It is a sad day in many, many ways. The TBI director, Mr. Roush, said that he looked at the video, he was sickened. He said he was shocked. It's appalling. You have talked with people who have watched this video. You haven't seen it yourself yet, but you have heard the same sort of thing, right?
Well, I think that is evident by the speed at which Chief Davis and the Memphis Police Department moved in this case. Very often when a police officer faces internal administrative conduct reviews, that process can drag out for 2 or 3 years. Citizens can't make it to hearings, and eventually it sort of disappears and goes away. And the Memphis Police Department very swiftly came down, fired these officers immediately. I mean, the speed of this compared to what is our past practice in Memphis is pretty breathtaking.
Well, this is, as Roush said, this does not reflect proper policing in any way. D.A. Mulroy, who you know, former law professor, just elected District Attorney General here in Shelby County last August, now has this important job and has to make the charging decisions with his colleagues, Paul Hagerman and the other prosecutors who were there present at that news conference. And they have to discern with knowledge of the law and knowledge of the facts that they see on that video, what charges to apply. And Rodney Wells, the stepfather of Tyre Nichols, had said repeatedly they want murder 1 as the charge. But Mulroy just said that he met with the family, and basically what he was saying, he got their blessing to go ahead with murder 2 because that's the applicable charge. Did I read that right?
Yes, and you know, there's often people in courtrooms say when everybody leaves a little unhappy, that's when you know that you got the right result.
Here we go.
My microphone fell off.
See, there you go.
I'm not a pro here.
No.
But second-degree murder in Tennessee means that you committed an act that you knew would kill someone. And if this beating is as long and prolonged and severe as they say, you would know that you killed someone. First-degree murder is a premeditated act planned out in advance, okay? Now, I doubt anybody thinks those officers showed up at work to their roll call and thought they were going to kill Tyre Nichols that night. But the problem in the community is that there has been a long pattern and practice in Memphis of overcharging people. Everyone gets charged with first-degree murder. And so there's going to be some blowback in the community that people want these officers to be treated like the rest of us. I think that this is, you know, a moment where you're seeing the new culture of the new DA's office, that we're going to treat each case correctly on the facts, on the law, and not overcharge everyone for bargaining leverage.
All right, let's just talk quickly about this host of charges, because
Sure.
D.A. Mulroy was asked about aggravated kidnapping, and that might be a curveball that perhaps our viewers and our audience didn't expect today.
Kidnapping's the curveball, and I think, you know, nationally that one will probably draw some surprise. Kidnapping is a restraint of someone's liberty or false imprisonment, and in a way that causes serious bodily injury. Of course, that's what happened. If this gentleman, Tyre Nichols, was restrained while he was beaten, that's kidnapping that results in serious bodily harm. The other count, as your producers just passed me the indictment, was that they accomplished this with the use of a deadly weapon because these officers are armed. Generally, officers have license to carry. They have permission to carry. And so, you know, that's a pretty, although the facts are there, that's not usually ever how the law is applied. And that might be one of the toughest charges for the prosecutors to win on.
Mm-hmm. Well, attorney Antonio Romanucci, who is working with Ben Crump, who's the civil rights lawyer who's nationally famous for working on cases like this of police brutality or alleged police brutality, has said that Tyre Nichols was, quote, restrained and also became a, quote, human pinata, which is a difficult thing to imagine. And so this video is going to be shown. and the DA said it will be released sometime after 6 o'clock tomorrow night by the city of Memphis. So that's who's going to release the video. And it apparently is, in addition to body cam video, it's blue light camera video. We see the blue lights all over town now that record.
It's a cruel irony to see the police caught by the police state, but perhaps that's justice.
Well, what do you think about the timing of the release of the video?
Well, you know, Friday night certainly seems a suspect time. That would make a lot of people nervous. I think that this administration is really trying to be transparent. And I think that the last administration really ruled from the top down and said, this is the way we're going to do it, and, you know, we don't care what anybody else thinks. I think they're trying to be very inclusive of the community. And that's important because we're dealing with people here. We're dealing with a lot of suffering across the city. The fact that we have a police department that a lot of people don't think reflects the values and culture of people or has been oppressive, not just in this case, but in a lot. We need to be honest about what's going on in the streets of Memphis. You know, as John Moran said, ain't no running into M. And we're going to come through this together as a community. Together. There's only one Memphis, and it's on all of us to keep it the best Memphis we can make it. So we got to put it all on the table, even if it's ugly.
That's right. It's the strategy, clearly, of the police chief, the mayor, the DA, and all the people who are involved in this, the TBI director, to de-escalate, de-escalate, de-escalate. So we saw the news conference with the family earlier this week. We saw the speedy firing of the police officers who have been accused and today indicted. It's almost will make your head turn how fast this is.
No one could have imagined this 6 months ago in Memphis. No one could have imagined this a year ago in Memphis. So the fact that, I mean, all of these moves, and Chief Davis has come from out of town, and she's going to probably have a lot of dissension about this. But she's certainly sending every signal to the public that she's doing what she believes is right. I think Mr. Mulroy is the same way, and they both have a lot of weight on their shoulders. No one has more weight on their shoulders than Mr. and Mrs. Wells, who lost their son. And, you know, nobody wants to be Emmett Till's mother. But that's what's happened in our community. We own that as a community. And nobody wants to have it on her shoulders to tear down this community. I was at the comedy show the other night with Dave Chappelle.
Yes, and he made comment, and the family of Tyre Nichols was present in the audience as special guests.
Yeah, he had them as their guests, and he said, you're going to be really mad about what's going on from what I hear, and you're going to want to, you know, tear things down, but this is a time we really need to build things up and make our community better. And, you know, I do hope people respect that and listen to that, because the Wells family's already going through enough.
The Tyre Nichols family.
That's
and
right.
The Wells family.
That's
Rodney
right.
Wells, of course, being the stepfather of Tyre Wells. And so you were present in that audience when Dave Chappelle said all this at the end of his show.
I was.
And so what did you think about that when he said that?
Well, the night Dr. King was assassinated, James Brown did the same thing in Boston. And it was one of the only places that didn't burn. And I hope our community responds the same way.
Well, we're so grateful, Michael Working, to have you here with us, criminal defense attorney, expert, and it's a tough day. But as you said as you came in, we want to cover this story responsibly today. We want to cover this story in a way that enlightens and helps the community see what really happened, but also responsibly. And so we're grateful to you.
Well, there's such a weight on all of your shoulders, and I would just say to the community, from someone who's down there almost every day for the last 17 years, the lawyers who are involved with this are really good lawyers, and they're really good people. Paul Hagerman is probably their top trial prosecutor. Melanie Headley was my study partner in law school before we were even licensed. She is really good people. Has a radio show that she does here every week. Tanisha Johnson is the epitome of a professional and future of prosecution in Memphis. And the defense attorneys are A-plus top pros, and we're going to have an example of what a trial should be, what it is to have due process and come together as a community and judge what happened. There's going to be members of the community that come and be on juries in front of good judges, and we're going to get this right as a community down at 201 Poplar.
Well, thank you for staying with us this afternoon. Right now, I'm going to go to my colleague, Joy Redmond, with some more information for you.